Today we are not late. Today we are early. Early on our way to drop the kids off at school. The champ is here.
Beep, beep.
The champ is here. He won last night. So how'd you play, by the way? I could only see it online. I could only see it. I couldn't.
Hard single pass to first baseman and a walk.
Strikeout, hard single pass to first baseman and a walk. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So it's funny how, I guess any baseball, the beautiful thing about baseball is anything can happen, right? I guess a lot like football, any major sports, when you have a field full of athletes, anything can happen. A little mistake here, a little luck here or there. Now a team that you just snuck by 2 days ago, you mercied to win the final of the ICBAs.
Which one was that?
London, very good team. And Guelph put them away in the fifth inning, 10-0. Canceled the game.
Well,
Mercied the
wasn't
game.
that team that had the really tall kids in the green uniforms?
They had that big kid that hit a bomb right to the fence. That's all I remember about them. The pitching was pretty good. And they have 2 or 3 kids that can just pound the ball. And you guys must have played really, really good to beat them like that. So congratulations to the Guelph Royals in winning the ICBAs. Now next week is the last tournament of the year, the OBAs. I'm going to miss your Friday game because Time Is On My Side has a stake race that night. We have a bunch of horses that'll be in that night. Actually, that also is the last Friday night. You know, the Horsemen at the Meadows, it's a real cool gig. They get to race in the afternoons, evenings off, and they race like 4 times a week. Yeah, which is a pretty good job. Myself, I'm used to racing at nights my whole life, so the Friday nights I like. I like the Friday night racing, and I know that the horsemen there don't. I don't blame them, but I really like them, and they come to an end next Friday. Is the last Friday of racing this summer / fall. So that'll be a lot of fun. Time Is On My Side. He's had a great summer, but he still sits 12th in points. So he has to have a favorable finish in the Sire Stakes race to make the final. If he makes a consolation, that's fine too, but I would much rather race against those horses for 253 than race against the consolation for 40. I can tell you that. Tenacious Hanover, our new horse, will race. I don't know where we'll race him. The Stallion Series is kind of they go for 20, and it's it's obviously a step down from where he's been racing all season. But at the same token, they go for 20. He can race in the non-winners of 2 that goes for 10-4, which would be the same as racing for second, and quite a bit cheaper. So we'll see how he goes next week or what class he goes in. Either way, it was a pretty good day yesterday. Started off a little flat, ended up a little flat, but in the middle was very, very good. To end off the night, I gave you guys an update. Drebin was great. Collector was great. We had a bunch of horses that raced good. And then to finish the night, Resolve Indeed ended up scoping 3 out of 5, which isn't shocking when you look at how good she raced starting in 58, and then she was flat and you scope and there's mucus. I mean, in this particular case, 1 + 1 = 2. And then to close out the night was Really Don't Care, who I thought raced pretty good. All things considered, she looked sound, she looked content, she did her work. In the last turn, it looked like she lost interest and that it was going to be abysmal. And then down the lane, trotted on good. Looks to me 2 or 3 more starts there. She'll probably, the whole goal for this, the whole exercise, 1, race her in a field that races for good money that she'll be competitive in, which looks like she's in. And 2, to get a good mark on her, because her added value as a broodmare is what pushes her over. She's not worth a ton of money as a racehorse, but as a broodmare, she certainly is. This is the family of When Doves Cry. So that was yesterday. We're on to today. We're taking our time to school today because we are not late. It is 7:32 right now. We're about 18 minutes, 20 minutes from school. We'll be there a good 8 minutes before.
8 minutes before.
Well, how early do you want to be there? 25 minutes before?
I know, but some of the programs that I'm going to get to do as an 8th grader, I have to be there at 7:45.
Really? So you see this little thing in your hand called the phone that's attached to your hand all the
How
time?
does that contribute to when you...
So I'm going to tell you that. On that phone, in fact, on every phone, is an app that's called an alarm. And what you need to do is set the alarm
So why do
that
you get to wake up Ollie and Andrew, but you can't wake up me when I'm...
Because you need to wake up
5 feet
earlier.
away.
You have a full bale of hay on your head. No, but when you wash your hair, it takes a lot longer. It takes longer for you to get ready. And that's not even a sexist joke. That's just the reality of the situation. So if you want to leave the same time we do, you have to wake up earlier. I can wake up at 7:30 and be gone at 7:40. You cannot do that.
You have never been early in your life.
No, I've never been early. And your mother and I argue about this all the time. That's just the way I'm wired. I don't care if people are a little bit
You
late.
just want to be there on time. You don't care about being early.
Yeah, I just want to be there on time. I consider on time early. That's what I consider. And people may construe that as me being ungrateful or rude or wasting their time. That's cool. I don't. I just don't like the added stress of, I have to be here. You know, if I have to be somewhere at 5:30, I'm probably going to roll in there at 5:25. I might even roll in there at 5:30.
Or you roll in there at just 5:45.
No, that might happen sometimes. I do my best for that not to happen. But
Most of the time, it's not his fault.
When we go to the Meadows, you're like, I have to race in 3 minutes. You put your stuff on.
That's true. That's true. I do that sometimes.
Well,
I just like to take things easy.
It's called traffic.
Shh. So, today is a big day for us. We have 9 horses in at 2 different tracks. I was really, really torn on which way I was going to go. Was I going to go to the Meadows or was I going to go to Scioto? At first, I actually told Jason I wasn't going to Scioto. I told him to ask Brett or somebody, and he said, well, Brett's going to be at the Meadows. So, what do you want us to do? There's no Chris Page, there's no Jeremy Smith, right? Those guys are still out. The Hanners kid broke his wrist, he's out. So you have 3 of the drivers we would use, for sure, are not present. We don't have a lot of options. And that's, again, when I say it like that, that voice in my head says, well, don't be rude. The drivers there are capable. Of course they're capable. But when they're not driving a lot of horses full time, and they're put in a position where you have an Irresistible Sun 2-1, right? You have Militant 9-5, Morning Line. When you're put in a position to race these horses, the pressure alone can lead to mistakes. And, you know, if somebody's going to make mistakes and be accountable for them, it's going to be me. So, when it came to a card full of horses that had really good chances to win, most of them, I think our longest shot is like 7-2, isn't it?
Yeah.
What?
I always thought that being like 5-1 meant that you were favored.
No, 5-1 means for every dollar you get 5, that's $12. 1 to 5 is a huge favorite, yes.
Yeah, it's the other way around.
Yes. So I mean, we have Militant 9-5, Fire and Shine's like 7-2, Irresistible Sun's 2-1.
That's good.
Roseron Alexander's 9-2 or 7-2, and Gypsy Hill's picked to win. Every horse we have today is picked to do very, very well in Scioto, and that was the driving force behind us. Then you look at the Meadows. I know Tim wanted me to go drive his filly. I did too. Country Dancing, very important. She hits the board. She likely gets in first or second for sure. She likely gets into the Stallion Series final, where she is a contender. So it is a big race for her. Stay close to the outside, and so did Patrick DePerona. Chris Limes knows all those horses. And Country Dancing isn't tricky to drive. Don't overdrive her, don't underdrive her. Put her in a spot that do well, and you'll do well. I know Chris Limes told me he was looking to have the night off. And then when I called him, you know, as a driver, if I'm saying, here's, you know, 4, I thought he was going to pick up double medal, and hopefully he picked up Tim's filly. If he did, you're racing in 2 stake races, and you have a card full of horses that have shots. No Fridays off now, Chris. You're going to have to go do the racing. So that's who's taking over for us tonight. We have 9 horses tonight. All of them are in good shape. Patrick was flat last week, but we knew why. That's fixed, hopefully. I suspect it is. Country Dancing's in a great spot. And JK Victory is racing tonight, also up a little bit there, but whatever. So we have 9 horses rolling up in behind the wings tonight in the stable. Tomorrow we have Chicago Hall. I'll be leaving tomorrow morning. There's no rush. I'm in race 1 in Ontario. I'm going to race Chicago. regardless of what happens, I'm going to get in the car and drive back here. Sunday, I'm in Kentucky. And no rush to go there either. I start in race number 10. So lots going on over the next few days, but that's great. That's good. Lots going on for the next 2 weeks as we start to wind stakes down in different places. Obviously, Grand Circuit starts in Kentucky. We start talking more about the sales. The Ohio sale that is coming up is mildly intriguing. The big sale, the select sale, is at the end of September, followed by the Lexington select sale, and those are two of the biggest sales on our calendar each year. So we'll begin to talk about the buckets. We'll begin to talk about the yearlings, and we also have 6 horses that are already theoretically in the stable. Our 4 homebreds. For those of you who remember, Miss Mildred, her daughter by Sweet Lou, is coming in the barn also, as is Sweeney's sister by Volstead. So we already have 6 horses that are coming in the barn. But we're just getting started. So off to school. I'm going to the barn. I'm going to train Chime Bell a little bit. New horse, Chime Bell. We bought some horses last week. I'm going to train Chime Bell a little bit and get the horses tuned up for next week. We'll talk about Neptune. I'm going to make a video of Neptune. I didn't know you even knew that name. Neptune is a horse you're going to hear about the next day or so. This is a horse that we purchased out of Australia. One of our partners and close relations, Daniel Cordina, has become a friend and a big client in the stable. He's sending one of his Australian horses over here to race. And on that transport will be a horse that we purchased a stake in. A 60% stake in. His name is Neptune.
Yeah.
It's a Bettor's Delight. He's coming from Australia to us. And he'll be here towards the middle of September. That's another video for another time. For now, off to school, off to work we go, and a big day ahead. Take care.